Hey, what is happening, Bulls and Bears? I am back, and we've got another nice dose of economic reality to get into. We have more strikes happening, we have more trouble brewing within the banking system, and lots more to talk about. Let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, please hit that like button to get this video some traction. Some traction. It seems like there's a effort for maybe this channel not to get too many people watching it. I don't know. Let's get started right here. Let's talk about what's happening at Starbucks. We have more disgruntled workers because they're not making enough to keep up with the cost of living. So we have over here, we got the purple-haired people, right? Starbucks workers, also known as the purple-haired people. And I'm not making fun of it. I like the purple hair. That's certainly not boring, is it? And this is on Red Cup Day. I didn't know there was a Red Cup Day. It's apparently a day where you can take actually, no, you go in and you buy a holiday drink and you get a reusable red cup. So that brings in a lot of customers. So these workers have decided to take this day off. It's one of the busiest days of the year, Red Cup Day. So more strikes. Of course, we knew this was going to happen. People aren't just making enough money to keep up with the cost of living. So we'll continue to see incidents like this occur. Maybe saying to this person, hey, instead of buying this purple hair dye, save your money, and then you wouldn't have to worry about not making enough money. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't make fun of the hair, right? Don't make fun of the hair. Don't go there. It even rhymes, right? Don't go there. Let's take a look at what they're talking about here. There's a statement that was put out here. This is a report here out of KTLA 5. And let's see what they had to say here. There's our friend again right here. We remain committed to working with all partners side by side to elevate every day, and we hope that Workers United's priorities will shift to include the shared success of our partners in negotiating. And of course, there's subtitles in the way, but you get the point. So their union is putting out a statement, and this is what unions do. It's interesting, though, that the union had them walk out on the busiest day of the year. Now, it doesn't say if that was their own idea or if the union approved of that. Anyways, we're going to see more of this walking out, more strikes, more people disgruntled because the cost of living is too high and the pay is not enough to keep up with it. So let's talk about it. I really hope that no one out there is hurt by this Starbucks strike. I hope you're not going without coffee. And maybe if you're hooked on coffee, if you're having 1 or 2, 3 coffees a day, maybe you're going through withdrawals right now. You need your coffee. Here's what I do. I make coffee at home. I've got a French press. You put the coffee in there, press it down, it filters it out. You, of course, put hot water in there, and you save a lot of money. Actually, though I did go to Starbucks a few months ago. I was on kind of a long drive from Riverside down to San Diego, where I live, about 100 miles, right? And I was tired. It was a late night, so I went ahead and ordered a coffee, but it was the cheapest one I could get. They had just the black medium roast coffee, and I had them put half milk in there, and it was about 50-50 coffee milk. I didn't want too much. I just wanted enough to stay awake. So it was about $3, right? Not bad. I think Dunkin' Donuts had a coffee. I think it was almost $3 also, right? So it's not crazy ridiculous compared to Dunkin' Donuts. Anyways, that's my Starbucks story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm trying to think, would I consider going there for a red cup? Probably not, especially if it's plastic. If it was glass or ceramic, I might be in there to get a coffee and get that free cup, but I'll have to look into it. And anyways, let's get into some other news here. I just wanted to start off with that because it's the holiday season and it's Red Cup Day, and we have these festive cups, and I want to get on the holiday bandwagon a little bit here, right? So I'm trying to be a little more festive, a little more in with the holidays. I still have my pumpkin back here. Pumpkins are still good even through the Thanksgiving holiday, by the way, but I would not dare display a pumpkin into the month of December. I think that's against the rules. But pumpkins last a long time. Pumpkins that we got last year, I think, didn't rot until the following like Valentine's Day, so they lasted like what, 4 months. That was a long time. Anyways, I digress today. Sorry, I need to be more focused. I apologize. Let's get into the next news item here. This next one is out of CNBC, and this is scary. If you're someone that's in a leadership position, you do not want this to happen. Deflation It's almost a dirty word. Deflation is a dirty word when it comes to economics. Deflation could be coming this holiday season, says the Walmart CEO. Everybody looks shocked. We can't have falling prices. Deflation is bad. It's always bad to have things become more affordable. Remember, rising prices are good. That's why we have a 2% inflation target, right? There's not a deflation target, there's an inflation target. In other words, the powers that be always wants everything to become more expensive, and no price corrections, no deflation is allowed. So why is the Walmart CEO saying this? I thought the consumer was resilient and the economy strong, right? So why would we see deflation? Deflation could be coming, Walmart CEO Doug McMillon said. Prices have fallen. Falling prices. Oh no. That's so bad for the economy, falling prices, especially on general merchandise and on some key grocery items. Well, that's good news to hear. Yet the discounters struck a cautious tone, saying customers continue to watch their spending. Yeah, that's what happens when consumer debt reaches what, $17 trillion, 17 trillion with a T. So basically, consumer debt, what consumers are carrying, is about half of the national debt. Right? National debt, what, 34 trillion? Has it hit 34 trillion yet? Doesn't matter. It's too much to ever be repaid, but it's a lot of consumer debt. Yes, and eventually the consumer will be completely tapped out or bankrupt, um, or both. Most consumers, and yes, there has to be a slowdown sometimes. Consumers don't have the ability to go into endless debt like we can do out of the national debt. Remember, they're printing money for themselves, not for you and me. And now that I'm thinking about it, what I'll probably do is I'll probably just stop talking about the money printing because it's so absurd right now. It doesn't even matter, does it? And does it really help anybody to know how much money is being printed or how much debt we have? Well, I don't know if it's going to help you, but it's good to be aware of. But I'm going to finish talking about that. I'm not going to mention that anymore on this channel. Or if I do, it's going to be maybe once or twice a month at the most because I don't want to do the same message over and over. And it's the holiday season. Let's relax. We'll see how it goes, and let's go from there. So, what can you do to benefit from this? Well, you can realize that you can save money by making coffee at home, right? That was a tip I gave you. And even if you get a free red cup, it may not be that nice. It might not be worth it, right? All right, let's get into some other news here. Oh, real quick on Walmart. One more thing, real quick from this article. Stubborn inflation has been one of the biggest challenges for retailers, including Walmart, the world's largest retailer. It felt pressure from that again in the fiscal third quarter, even as it beat Wall Street sales and earnings expectations. The CFO of the company, John Rainey, told CNBC that shoppers have waited for items to go on sale before buying them, such as holding out for Black Friday. Folks, don't go to Walmart on Black Friday. Have you seen the videos where people are like, they're swinging TVs at each other, like big screen TVs? They're swinging them at each other, and they're fighting. They're playing tug of war with the big screen TV. It's absolutely insane. But actually, if you live in let's say a good area, maybe that won't happen. We don't have a bunch of crazies running around. Anyway, see, there's another tip and a way to help you is I say avoid Walmart on Black Friday. Now, some people may argue, they say, JJ, that's the best time to get a deal. And it's worth bodily injury going to Walmart on Black Friday because you're going to save so much money. There, I guess you got me there. That's a good argument there. You do save a lot of money on Black Friday, especially at Walmart. But I would beg you to ask yourself the question, do you need a bigger big screen TV? Isn't your current TV big enough? And if it's not, can't you just sit a little bit closer to the TV without needing a huge screen? Do you want to pretend that you're at the movies? Is that why you need a screen that's so big? I really shouldn't talk. I have a 47 inch? It's not even that big now. Uh, anyways, 47-inch TV is big enough for me. No problem there. See, folks, we're just full of money saving tips today. There's another one. You don't need a bigger screen, big screen TV. All right, let's get into some other news here. Sorry, I'm a little bit on the laid back tip today. I don't want to be so serious. I don't want to be so doom and gloomish. I just want to be nice and festive for the holidays, and we'll see how it affects the channel. Maybe a bunch of you will, leave the channel because you're appalled that I should be so relaxed and not so serious. Now, I've got to go back to this because there have been people that have accused me of being negative, doom and gloom. unhappy. They've accused me of being depressed, right? That's not true, folks. I have good news in just about every video now. Here's another video with good news. Things are getting cheaper. Are you guys ready for this? Get ready to save a lot of money. Let's go ahead and go right here, right now. Apartment rents fell by $3. $3. You can take that $3. You can go buy a coffee that's half milk and half coffee at Starbucks. You maybe even get a free cup. Apartment rents fell a second straight month this time by $3. The average US asking for rent in October dropped to $1,718. Let me see if I can do the math here. That's down from $1,721 in August. We'll see what happens at the end of November. Maybe we'll get a $4 drop in November and everybody will be celebrating for the holidays. And that's $3 extra you could spend at Good Friday on Walmart and hope that you don't get hurt. Oh, but wait. Oh, but wait. It gets better. Meanwhile, U.S. single family rents declined by $2. That first one, I guess, was for apartments or attached residences. Year over year growth dropped 30 basis points, but demand is holding steady as occupancy rates remained firm. Well, we're not seeing much relief in the cost of living, but we're on a right path here. Things are becoming more affordable as we speak. And also, Bloomberg put this out. Rents are falling in some cities thanks to new apartment construction. Wow, Austin, Phoenix, and Atlanta rents drop with supply increase. So even with all the new apartments built, we can only have a $3 price drop. Wow. How many apartments do we have to build to have a $10 price drop? Right. And that's just from 1 month to the next. We'll see how it adds up year over year. Right now, we're only down about 1% on average year over year for rents, but some cities have even bigger drops, right? Let's talk about that real quick here. And let's go ahead and bring up the cities with the biggest price drops here, not month over month, year over year. So Austin down 6%, Portland 5%, Phoenix 4%, Salt Lake City 4%, Atlanta and San Francisco and Raleigh, North Carolina, and Las Vegas and Orlando all down 4% as well. Jacksonville, Florida down 3%. So there you have it. More good news. I'm going to start bringing more good news like this, and you're going to feel joyful and cheerful after you're done watching these videos. And that's what we want during the holiday season here. We're mid-November. We've got Thanksgiving around the corner. We've got my birthday's in December. I've always loved the holiday season, December especially. I've got my birthday. I've got, of course, Christmas. Then we've got New Year's. Got all kinds of celebrations going on. Family, drinks, all kinds of good stuff happening, right? Don't you love the holiday season? I love it. I love it. Now, speaking of rents and the cost to keep a roof over your head, let's transition to home prices and specifically what's happening in Canada. Many of you know that Canada has a housing bubble way worse than the US here. And Mr. Wolf Street over at Wolf Street, Mr. Wolf over at Wolf Street has a nice chart out here recently. And let's go ahead and take a look at it here and see what's happening with the Canadian housing bubble. It's pretty amazing in my opinion here. And let's see here, Wolf Street, single family homes, $800,000. Wow. But look where they were. They were about 950,000 and recently dropped here as of October down to about 800,000, back to where prices were in October 2021. So prices hitting about a 2-year low there in Canada. So some more good news. We do see that deflation is possible, and the guy from Walmart, the CEO, CFO, one of those from Walmart told us earlier they're seeing deflation on some items at Walmart. So there you go. More good news, especially if you are thinking about moving to Canada, or maybe you live in Canada, or maybe you have friends or relatives in Canada. Prices are coming down. And I want to stick to this chart a little bit here. When you see prices go up almost straight up and down, almost a hockey stick type of pattern, right? Straight up and down nearly. You're going to see a correction that never fails. It's rare that you see any sort of chart, a stock, home prices, a price of any good or commodity go straight up and not have some sort of correction. It may go up a lot longer than people expect, leaving people to believe that it's never going to come down. And that's what happened with a lot of people with the FOMO, right? When prices run up, people have FOMO because they get scared they'll never be able to buy it if prices just never come down. That would be a hyperinflationary scenario, by the way, where prices go up like this and never come down. So luckily, we have the powers that be that decided to raise interest rates. Same thing in Canada, raising rates up there, and lots of other factors led to this home price decline. Not to mention the mania that ensued, or the stimulus mania that started back in 2020, that caused a lot of this mess here. And if we look, we could see Canada very similar to what they're doing here in the U.S. with rates that were very low, right? Pretty low, rock bottom there, down at about 1.5%, and now up to about 5%. So we are seeing the effect of higher rates in Canada, and I think we're going to see home prices correct more noticeably here in the U.S. in the coming months. And what we're seeing here recently in the US included is tighter lending, not only because of the higher rates, but just banks tightening in general because they see a lot of these losses on their books, these bonds. And what do we see if we look at some recent search results here? We see Fed report shows US loan officers see tighter credit, weaker demand. That was last week. Axios banks report toughest loan standards in years. That was back in July. So you see it takes a few months to play out here once banks start tightening. Tightened lending affects commercial real estate. Yeah, commercial real estate, they better tighten their lending because some of these commercial buildings have dropped 30, 40, 50% if you look at places like San Francisco. Banks still fear a run on assets. Expert says last week, Federal Reserve Senior Loan Officer Opinion Survey on bank lending practices was released. And yeah, banks are still a bit fearful. Banks warn of lending pullback. Bank caution to tighten the squeeze on the U.S. economy. So continued tightening and more likely, therefore, continued deflation. And deflation is a good thing. People will lose their jobs because of deflation, but ultimately things will become more affordable. And that way you don't have to go out and work maybe 2 and 3 jobs like a lot of people are. I read a report, was it, yeah, the beginning of October, where a record number of people have are working more dual jobs, meaning 2 or more jobs, and sometimes it's 2 jobs and a gig economy job or a side hustle. So yeah, things are very demanding out there for a worker, and you can only take on so many jobs and you can only work so many hours in a day. You have to sleep. We're not robots. So that's why I say the consumer is ultimately going to be what's going to determine the direction of the US economy. And the consumers are buried under 17 trillion in debt, and we're already at a record number of people with second jobs. So how much more can people work to try to keep up with the cost of living? They can't do much more. And how much more can they borrow? They can't borrow much more. Credit card limits are at a record high and almost double what they were in 2007, 2008, which was a financial crisis back then. So now I think we're just at the beginning of the crisis, but that's not a bad thing. It's not negative. It's just saying that you need to prepare. You know where the U.S. consumer is at, and therefore you know what's going to be happening with the U.S. economy. We're going to see a lot more job losses, and I hope it's not your job, and I hope it's not my job. But when the economy changes, sometimes occupations need to change. You lose one job, and you go find another one that's in demand, and that's how markets are supposed to work. That's how economies are supposed to work, right? We shouldn't be afraid of the correction. We shouldn't be afraid of job losses, because have you ever lost a job and then went on to get a better job, right? I remember getting fired from a job that I thought I liked, but then I went out and found a much better job that I liked even more and made more money, right? So there's always sometimes the grass is greener, not always, but sometimes it is. So we shouldn't be afraid of change. We shouldn't be afraid of deflation. Markets should be allowed to correct. It is good that they're keeping interest rates higher and not cutting rates. I hope they don't cut rates, right? Because when you look at it at around 5%, that's not that unusual. That's actually pretty good. It's unusual compared to the last 10 years because we saw rock bottom near zero rates, but that was the unusual thing, having rates so low for so long. Over 10 years, people accepted that as the new normal. People out there think we have to cut rates now because we have to get back to zero. That was unusual. Zero or rock bottom rates is very abnormal, very unusual. A 5% rate is more um, middle ground. If you look back at, 10, 20, 30 years ago, not just the last 10 years, but historically, 5% is not considered that high. It only seems high because we're coming from near zero and people have so much debt. That's why it seems high. All right, price corrections, deflation continuing, folks. Hope you guys like this report. And I'll continue this type of reporting if you guys like this a little bit better than the more serious tone where, I'm critical of the system and critical of the bankers. I guess, some people didn't like that. My numbers are dropping, people unsubscribing, stuff like that. So we'll change the formula up a little bit, be a little more laid back, maybe have a little more fun. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. If you like this better, or should I go back to the more serious tone? Please let me know, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye now.